Shalom, shalom.
It's for poor people. Who buys our I don't buy cannabis products barely anymore. It's so healthy. Now that I know what the in it, I can eat bioengineered meat. I don't want to eat a piece of chicken that came from a 3D printer. Campbell's.
Good. This morning, Campbell's Soup is denying claims about its products, allegedly made by an executive in a recorded.
Heard what he said? Talking about 3D printed meat, which makes you wonder how the hell. Shalom Israel, shalom to the elect, all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh Ba'Hashem, Yahushai Ba'Hashem, Rahak Kodash, that honors the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Well, peace, salutations, blessings to the elect, pushing the word across the four corners of earth, risking your life to do so. I'm the brother Shaman of Great Millstone, Chicago. And it looks like it's snowing actually. But as you can hear, these people, man, 3D printed meat. Like, how does it even work? It just leaves the door open for so many questions. Like you said, I don't eat that shit. It's for poor people. Yeah, if you're gonna make soup, the best thing you could do is make it from scratch, make it on your own. You know, ultimately you got to do what you got to do, but try to pick the best of the worst, because this food will fuck you up. And I've been trying to do a lot as of late, and what I've been finding is when I eat Issachar food, you know, I usually do the steak, like the carne asada or something. Usually that helps, gives good energy, you know, because it's just straight up vegetables, protein, you know, a little bit of corn tortillas. And when you start buying all these frozen dinners and shit, and that shit, it'll mess you up. Right? Health and bodily estate above gold. You know, you do what you can ultimately, because this shit is polluted. And that's scriptural. This is Ezekiel 4:13. The Lord said, even thus shall the children of Israel eat their defiled bread amongst the Gentiles, whither I will drive them. He had to eat cow's dung, food with cow's dung in it. Initially, it was going to be man's dung, but it was initially. Eventually, it's cow's dung. Like, who in their right mind would feed somebody some bioengineered food? What kind of? But that just goes to show you where we're at. All right, and that just goes to show you the times that we're in, because before, and that's why they established actually the FDA, because a lot of these Edomites, they would put, you know, they would make flour or something, and they would put floor sweepings in there. They have all kind of shit in there. So the FDA had to actually be established so that people could know exactly what's in the food. You know, you look on the back of them labels, supposedly the order that the ingredients are in are the amounts that are in the food. So if the first amount is high fructose corn syrup, then it's a lot of high fructose corn syrup. This is Daniel 12:4. But thou, O Daniel, shut up the words and seal the book, even to the time of the end. Many shall run to and fro, and knowledge shall increase. And that's the time that we're in. Wisdom and knowledge knowledge is increased. What it say in Ecclesiastes? See, this is a part of being a god, understanding what the heathen would do when they get in rulership and why they should never be in rulership, which these guys aren't seeing it. Genesis 3:5, for the Most High doth know that in the day ye eat thereof, that your eyes shall be open, and ye shall be as gods, knowing good and evil. That's why I say these other nations are but men, but you are gods. All right, because we examine everything. See, these other nations, they don't, when they throwing cow shit at each other, they're not thinking about rulership or any aspects of that. Seeing all these different things, it shows you why Esau's the wicked. If you can't see that he's the wicked, like you're a reprobate. Basic food you can't even eat without having to thoroughly examine it, because it's polluted amongst the Gentiles. All right, we get into what Paul was writing about. Basically, that was, he had to establish certain things. Hey, if eating this in front of eating this in front of somebody who's young, matter of fact, let's just go to it. 1 Corinthians 8. Let's go to NLT, verse 4. So what about eating meat that has been offering to idols? Well, we all know that an idol is not really a god, and that there is only one power. There's one God. There may be so-called gods both in heaven and on earth, and some people actually worship many gods and many lords. Like I said, there are gods, many lords, many. All right, but there's a ranking system to the gods. There's the Most High, the highest power. And on his right hand, right underneath him, is his son. Right? And then we're lesser gods. Alahayim. It said, but for us there is one power, the Father, exactly, by whom all things were created, and for whom we live. But there is one Lord, Yahushua Mashiach, through whom all things were created and through whom we live. However, not all believers know this. Some are accustomed to thinking of idols as being real. So when they eat food that has been offered to idols, they think of it as the worship of real gods, and their weak consciousness are violated. It's true that we can't win the Most High's approval by what we eat. We don't lose anything if we don't eat it, and we don't gain anything if we do. So we must be careful that your freedom does not cause others with a weaker conscience to stumble. For if others see you with your superior knowledge eating in the temple of an idol, won't they be encouraged to violate their conscience by eating food that has been offered to an idol? So because of your superior knowledge, for a weak believer for whom a Mashiach died will be destroyed, and when you sin against other believers by encouraging them to do something they believe is wrong, you are sinning against a Mashiach. Yep. And the King James version, verse 12 said, but when ye sin so against the brethren and wound their weak conscience, ye sin against a Mashiach. Because, so you got to watch, you have to watch what you do around certain younger men. Wherefore, if meat make my brother to offend, I will eat no flesh while the world standeth, lest I make my brother to offend. So maybe a younger brother, you're not going to eat, Thanksgiving food in front of him, because they might, oh, see, Thanksgiving is this or that. But, after you've been built up, you can eat a little, Thanksgiving plate, certain things. Now, me personally, it's not going off, but I'm not necessarily going to eat the turkey because it's just not, it's pumped full of hormones, and I can taste it. But if you eat it, it's not going off, long as you eat lawfully. Right, and this all understanding all these things, man, is part of us, man, becoming gods. Right, that's what that fruit was. Fruit of from the tree of knowledge, basically, understanding all these different things. Right, understanding rebellion. This is Ecclesiastes 1:18, and verse 17. Matter of fact. And I gave my heart to know wisdom and to know madness and folly. I perceive that this also is a vexation of spirit. For in much wisdom is much grief, and he that increaseth knowledge increaseth sorrow. And that's why. Because you start to understand, everything. And it's like, oh man. This is what happens when you disobey the Lord. Every day I think about that. You have them days where you be like, man, Satan just be fucking with you. You pray, you just get through it. But then you think about it, be like, shit, this is what happens when you disobey the Lord. You lose everything. You lose your woman. This is what happens when, our nation doesn't follow the Lord. You end up in this predicament. All right, this is why you have to seek him 10 times more. You got these people playing with your damn food. All right, but Lord willing, it's edifying. Call Layam Laya Habashim Awashai. Yeah, they talking about removal of food dyes and all that shit. That shit don't matter, man. This shit is just polluted. The land is polluted. Everything here is polluted. And even if you washed it and cleansed it, it's still polluted. All right, it's got blood on it. It's blood that's been spilled here of millions of people. This place just has to be set on fire. Lord willing, edify Shalom.